Okay, you're on the cloud right now. We're getting ready to have a wonderful discussion that is very, very serious, but also, I think, going to be a little bit of fun for us too. Um, Now, the timing is funny, isn't it? Timing is a funny thing. So this conversation is kind of like the culmination of stuff that we've been talking about in meetings for like the past 4 or 5 weeks, and the dynamics of the market, the difficulties of the market, the difficulties of people getting on the same page, and the difficulties in communications, the fact that we're all getting tired, the fact that the clients are getting tired, and then also in the brokerage this week, it's come up a few times. Okay, it's come up a few times, and that is, hey boss, I got to fire a client. Like, I can't take anymore. Right? I got to fire a client. Now, I think it says a lot about all of you that you even think to ask me about that. So thanks. I appreciate that. Um, Makes me feel like I'm part of your team. You don't have to ask me about that, but I think that it's great that you did. So what we're going to talk about is, when is enough enough? Okay. When is enough enough? And spoiler alert, I think that it's different depending on what kind of client it is and where they are in the process, right? This is not a one size fits all thing. And if I haven't said it already, what we're talking about is saying enough is enough and quote unquote firing a client. When do you get to the point where you have to fire the client, right? Let me ask you this. Of the folks that are in here, I can't get rid of this box. I'm going to shrink it. Yeah. Folks that are in here that have been around for a minute, how many of you have had to fire a client before, have actually fired a client? Brendan, you better raise your hand. Really? Okay. How many have fired more than one? Alan, just one? All these years? Two. Two. Two or three. Okay, good. Good. All right. It's tough, right? It's tough on a for a lot of reasons. It's difficult. Primarily, though, if we think about our time and our efforts 100% as a business, and we know that we've got money invested or time invested into any certain client, we really want to try to make sure that we get a return, right? I mean, it's okay to want that. It's okay to expect that, right? You're not doing this because you're a billionaire and you're trying to, do philanthropy. You're doing this because this is how you pay your bills. This is how you eat. This is how you clothe yourself, or, pay your mortgage or buy your car or whatever else. This is what you do for a living. This is what you do for money. This is how you get paid. Okay. So it's okay to expect that if we're going to put our time into a process and we're going to do a good job, it's okay to expect that we get paid for that. Okay. Does anybody have a problem with that? Let me ask you that, because some agents do. Does anybody have a real problem with the concept of, hey, darn it, if I'm going to spend my time working on this, I'm going to get paid? No? Good. We can save a ton of time. Okay. And so then we always end up in these situations. We don't always. We end up in these situations every once in a while where you think this is not going to be successful. Okay. I'm not going to be able to help this person buy a home. I'm not going to be able to help this person sell their home. Okay. i.e., I'm not going to get paid. How much longer can I continue to do this? Because at this point in time, it's starting to feel like a donation more than a business transaction, right? Let's start with prospects. Okay, prospects. Prospects are someone that isn't actively in the hunt, right? They're not actively in the hunt to buy. They're not actively in the hunt to sell. Maybe you met them somewhere along the way. Maybe they made a web inquiry and you followed up and they said, hey, I'm just looking around. I'm not really doing anything. And so You've done everything that you've needed to do electronically. Okay. And I'm going to say that 100 times today. You've done everything that you need to do electronically, which means they're in your CRM, they're in your Real Scout, they're in your report, they're in all that stuff. They're getting the emails, they're getting the stuff. When when do you fire a prospect? Anybody, chime in. You got to participate here. When do you fire a prospect? At what point do you fire a prospect?
After I've shown them 100 houses and I know they're not a buyer anymore.
I would say, Brendan, that's an active lead. If you're showing them 100 houses,
Okay.
they're definitely in the hunt. They're definitely in the hunt. So you're ahead of me. A prospect you've never even met them at a property. Okay, they're getting your emails, they're texting you questions, you're answering questions. You know, you guys they're calling you, they're sending you emails, they're commenting on the listings that you're sending them and critiquing them for you and telling you why the price is no good. They're doing those kinds of things, right? And you're like, man, I want to get them to a property, I want to show them something, and it's just not happening. When do you fire that prospect?
I'm not sure you
They-
do.
Steve, was that you?
Yeah, I'm not sure you do.
Okay. Anybody else?
When they choose to use somebody else, another
Okay.
realtor,
Okay, good. So they ghost you and they go another direction? Yep.
right?
Okay, good. Anybody else?
I fired clients for different reasons. I had one that was a drunk.
Yeah.
I didn't want to, I'm worth more than that. They have to tolerate a drunk on the phone. So I says, that's it. I did check with the broker at the time, say, you mind if he says, do what's best for you.
Yeah.
And then I had a few listings that if you want to call it firing, is like, that's it, no mas. Okay.
Okay, we're not there yet though, Alan. You're getting ahead of me. We're not there yet. Right now
Okay.
we're on prospects, and I could see a drunk prospect eating a bunch of your time up and having to get
Oh,
fired.
Well, these are clients. On prospects, I never fire a prospect.
Yeah.
Okay. A prospect is even when that prospect stabs me in the back, it's free. Get
Yeah.
it. Cancel me.
Yeah.
Okay. Because that listing I had now. The last time I had, they were a client 2 years ago, and they used somebody else a year ago, and now they're back to me because I was marketing them.
Yep.
I didn't, just because I thought most people would have dumped them, but I didn't, and you don't fire prospects.
Okay, good. Good job stealing my thunder, Alan. You're right.
Okay.
You don't
You're
fire a
welcome.
prospect. There's no reason to fire him, right?
Right.
There's absolutely no reason to fire him. This is going to go on the internet and somebody's going to call me names. But look, you can continue to email market them. You can continue to send them their stuff electronically. You can continue to take their texts and their calls. You're not really in the car burning fuel, showing property, doing those kinds of things. It's a conversation, right? And candidly, if maybe you have a certain prospect that likes to call at 7:30 p.m. yesterday, don't answer the phone. Okay, don't answer the phone, right? You can kind of control that. So you would never fire a prospect. Let's go to an active client. Let's start with buyers because I think that's the easiest one. Okay, I think that's the easiest one to be able to tell. Everybody mute your computer if you're not muted right now. Mute it. Let's see if I can do it for you. Mute all. There you go. Okay. When do you fire an active lead buyer? You're showing them properties. You're writing offers. You're in the car. You're doing all of those things, right? You're doing all that stuff. Let's see. I want to make sure that you allow. Yeah, you can unmute yourself. When do you cut bait on an active buyer? Brendan, go.
I've actually only done it once, and I showed numerous properties, wrote numerous offers, and when I decided to part ways was I got them exactly what they wanted, and they still did not pull the trigger. And then I knew, I go, this is not a real buyer. This is never going to happen.
When you say numerous, try to give me a number close.
I probably wrote also too. Probably wrote 4 or 5 offers, but the offers I wrote were not strong offers. There were a lot of times they were under asking price, so I knew they weren't going anywhere. But sometimes you have to placate them and go, okay, we'll give it a try,
Mhm.
see what we can do. So And then when I finally said, no, I'm not doing this anymore, is when I got them exactly what they wanted, what they asked for price wise, and they still said no. Then we don't want to do it. And I thought, okay, this is never going to happen.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. All right. Who else? When do you fire a buyer?
I would say when you kind of get like a gut feeling of whether they're respecting your time and efforts or not.
Mhm.
Because I've gotten close to firing buyers before, and then it's like they will come to a realization that they're being indecisive or they're, because it's like I have a process. If I'm showing you houses, we've had, serious discussions, we've gone in depth about what you're looking for.
Mhm.
So it's hard to say like I feel like at some point you feel like, am I wasting my time? And it's like if they can't acknowledge that or understand that your time is valuable, I think you kind of just, and I mean, I've only gotten close to firing a buyer once, other than, a recent buyer that I won't go into detail with, where they kind of had their hands tied.
Mhm.
Um, but yeah, I think you just kind of get this at some point, this gut feeling where, like Brendan said, like this isn't going anywhere.
Mhm.
And you've done all you can do.
Okay. Good. Who else? When do you fire a buyer? Give me some input. Michael?
About thing that they need to be successful, and they don't take any of the advice at all.
Exactly.
Mhm. Steve, was that you echoing with an exactly?
Yeah, I mean, when you're leading them to the way to get it, and they're fighting you at every turn on price or whatever and things, and you've shown them the houses, they like the houses, but they're doing something just isn't going to get you to the end. That's when you got to cut bait.
Good. I agree. Okay, guys, give me this. And this is just pure curiosity because I don't have a number here. How many houses? Let's assume that some buyers take a minute to get with the program. Okay. How many houses do you show them? How much leeway do you give them to quote unquote get with the program and feel like you guys are on the same page? What's your number? What do you think?
Damien,
Yes, sir.
I never fired any buyer. I've come close.
Yeah.
The closest one I came to was um they were first time buyers. They
Yep.
could barely afford it.
Yep.
And they yeah, we all have to have a certain level of self-respect and honor.
Sure.
And there's a time in my life where I'm at a place in my life I'm not going to deal with it.
Right.
With people taking advantage of my time and not
Sure.
respecting it.
Yep.
And you can tell when that's happening. And a lot of times when they're talking to you, they're talking to another agent or a lender or something. They're using you to look at property, and you really know you can't trust them. So, and I had a particular client like this, and and one day I'm sitting there and I go, the gal while we were looking at it, you got to listen to your clients too. I heard something. I go, they're talking to another agent. And they're going to looking at other properties they might buy without an agent. I go, I don't need to deal with that. I'm your person. I'm not. So with that said, before I left them that evening, I told them I had a long discussion with them. I go, agents do fire their clients. I go, we get to a point where we have enough time invested in our clients that it's time to break loose. So you're getting there. So you need to make up your mind, or you're gonna be fired.
You're getting there.
Hey,
Oh, Alan, I
they
love
they
you,
bought
man.
they bought the next one on Stinson Drive, and it was the shittiest house, but they bought it because they could afford it.
Okay, there you go. You're getting close to stealing my thunder again, so I'm going to stop you. Um, so we don't have a number, but let me give you my general take on when you know it's time. If you guys read the email or you read the calendar invite that I sent you, I think you would have noticed or may not have noticed it said, "When do you fire a client?" in quotes, right? When is it time to cut a client in quotes loose? And for me, there's no number. It's not 5 houses, it's not 50 houses, right? Brendan and Jessica know that I mean, I'm finally an escrow on somebody that I've worked with for 3 years, and I think I've probably showed them 100 houses. You know, it's when they cease to be a client that I think you have to cut. Client implies that they're trusting you as a resource and you guys are in a fiduciary relationship together. They're going to value what you have to say. You're going to value what they have to say. There's going to be back and forth. You're going to be an advisor. They're going to listen to your advice. They may not always act on your advice, but they're going to listen to and value your advice. They're going to value your time. They're going to understand that you are not at their beck and call. You are not a glorified door unlocker with a super key. Okay? If it gets to the point where you are that glorified door unlocker with a super key, or God forbid, they've got 3 of you, like Alan was kind of alluding to, right? At that point, it's got to stop, right? Because nothing good is going to happen. Nothing good is going to happen. And even if you did happen to get them in escrow on something, the stars all aligned, and you got their offer accepted on something, it's probably not going to go well, right? If they're not listening to you, because what do 90% of our buyer clients ask at some point in the first week or so of being in escrow? What do they all ask us every time? They got the offer accepted. They're super excited. They're all fired up. That lasts for 24 hours. And then they call or text with the question, Damien, is this a good deal? Right? They all do that. This is where this is the trust test. Right? This is the trust test, because if you say, Alan, this is a great deal. You know, we've been looking for 2 months. We've seen 12 houses. I ran the numbers for you. We can see that this is a great deal. You're buying a little bit below market. We know it's a good area, so we know you're going to have some good appreciation on it. This is a great long-term deal for you. Okay? I'm really excited for you. I always say that. I'm super excited for you. Okay? This is a good deal. Right there. Right there. The only thing that you should get from them is, okay, or yeah, I think so too, or okay, thank you, or something like that, and they should go right back to fired up. Okay? If they don't, if that doesn't happen, you guys don't have the trust established. Okay? You don't have the trust established. Okay? I actually have one in escrow right now where the buyer thought that he overpaid. He was convinced he overpaid. Convinced. But the house was so perfect and he's been looking for so long that he was willing to overpay. So he called me after the 24 hours and he said, I need to know how many years I'm going to be in this house before I could sell it and break even. So he said, I go, what are we talking about? I honestly, and there's a little bit of a language barrier. So I said, can you repeat? I don't understand what you're asking me. And he told me again. And I said, do you think that you're upside down? And he said, well, yeah. And I said, I would never let that happen to you, like without talking to you. You're not upside down, you're right side up. You could probably sell it in 2 weeks and make money. We bought really, really well. And he said, really? And I said, yeah, I'm fired up. Like, we got a great deal. We bought really, really well. And he said, oh, thank you. I feel so much better. And that was it. Okay. We have the trust, right? He's my client. I'm his agent. That's the kind of relationship that we want to work with. And maybe not as far as him. I've known him for a long time. So, I mean, there's a lot of that, but something close to that. If you get on the other end of the spectrum, like Michael had last week, man, see ya. Right? See ya. And that's a horrible thing to say, but I will tell you this. I feel pretty good about saying it because I'm pretty sure that we're only going to say that horrible thing to horrible people. All right? I know all you guys. I know everybody that works here that's not even on this call. I know you guys. You're not going to give up without a pretty significant fight. Your client's best interests really matter to you. If you get to the point where you're like, whoa, enough, it's probably pretty bad. It's probably pretty bad. Okay? Now, oh, we've got a hand up. Yeah, hand up. Who is it?
It's me, Brendan.
Yep.
I just want to interject real quick too, and this is personal preference. I think that also too, before you completely cut bait, you might want to think and go, you know what, maybe I'm just not getting along with this person anymore. Try referring them off to one of your coworkers and go, hey, this is the deal. This is what's going on. Maybe you'll have a better luck with them. Maybe the way that you approach or the communication style just works better. Instead of just going, I'm done with this, think about that first. Go, okay, maybe somebody can take this over for me and I can just get a referral out of it.
Great point, and it's going to lead right into what I was going to say. When you get to the point where you think it might be time for us to cut, you got to do one thing. Okay? You got to do one thing. You got to sit down with them. Okay? And I'm talking keys or Zoom, right? This is not a phone. This is not a text. It's keys or Zoom. And you sit down with them and it goes something like this. Michael, I got to apologize to you. Okay? I'm not getting it done. We've been at this for 4 months. We've seen 15 properties. We've written 17 offers. Okay? None of them are sticking. It's clear to me that I'm not getting it done and that I am not a good fit for you. Okay? I think it's going to be best for you if you work with another agent. And I'd like to be able to give you someone in my office that I think is really good. His name is Brendan. I've told him a little bit about you. He's agreed to take you on as a client. He knows your story. Can I have Brendan give you a call and see how that might fit? Right? One of three things is going to happen, folks. The first one is going to be like, yeah, sure, I'll talk to Brendan. The second one's going to be like, nah, you guys can all go to hell. I'm out of here. And the third one is, what's happened, and I've done this, the third one is, whoa, what do you mean? We love you. What do you mean? Now we can have a pretty serious conversation about what's not working, right? We can have a pretty serious conversation about that because they're all ears at that point. It'll happen. Okay. Don't just kind of let them slip away. Don't go out with both guns blazing. Just sit them down and say, hey, I got to tell you, I'm really sorry. I'm not getting it done for you. I feel horrible. I want you to be successful. So I'm going to set you up somewhere else and see what happens. Because the best thing that could happen is they could be like, whoa, 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 whoa. No, 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 no. Nope. You're our guy. We love you. Okay. Yeah, we don't listen to your advice. You're right. Okay. Yeah. Like the past 5 houses that we've lost, you gave us the number that won it. Yeah. We didn't do it. Okay. Yeah. I mean, I guess we need to get on the same page. And now you can get paid for your time. Okay. But give them that chance. Yeah. And do it face to face or Zoom to Zoom. Let them be able to see, okay, he's not mad. He's not angry. He's not upset. He feels bad that this isn't working and he wants us to go another direction. And we don't necessarily want to do that. Let's work it out. Okay. Let's work it out. Because ultimately, I just want you to get paid for your time. Okay. Make sense? Questions? When they stop treating you like a resource, when you no longer have a client agent relationship, when you feel like you're being taken advantage of, when you feel like they don't have any respect for your time or your efforts or your word, it might be time to have that conversation. It might be time. Okay? I'm I'm going to give you two more. The first one's going to be easy. The second one's going to be hard. Okay. Sellers, before they are listed. Well, you've got a listing agreement signed, so you've got that established. You're in pre-marketing, okay? Let's say it's 6 weeks out, all right? You talked about how you wanted to do it. You talked about your program. You talked about price. You're 2 weeks away from being on the market. They haven't done any of it. They're starting to refuse to let inspectors in or whatever. They start talking about price. They start pointing at other. When's it time to cut loose a seller? How do you know that it's not going to work out and that you should not go to market? How do you know?
Hard answer, Damien. Because I've had two of those.
Mhm.
And on both of them, actually three of them, if you count the one that went to the bank after I got it on the market, the day I got it on the market.
Yeah.
Um, the client didn't listen. They said he would listen. I listed the property, and after the property's getting listed, they continue not to listen. And after the first complaint, after not listening to what I was telling him,
Yeah.
that's when I fired him.
Can you give me a little bit more context on what was going on?
Okay, this is that one. It was when I first came to you, in fact.
Sunset.
Well, what's that?
Sunset?
Is that what?
Sunset or Sunview? Or...
Sunset. That one we just canceled. That one was not a fire, and that was a mutual agreement because he wanted too much money for the house.
Okay.
The one I canceled was, I forget, it's like over there on Cherry Creek, I think. It was on the other side of 49.
Oh, yeah. Oh, 49. Yeah. Okay,
Yeah.
I remember.
And the guy just wasn't being helpful at all. And he had a couple of complaints, and he had complaints about the other agent that had it before and I got to a point I told him, go ahead and move into it, and let the bank have it. So I don't know what's happened to it since. But I canceled the listing. And that was that one. And the other one was a drunk guy. Guy was drunk on the phone. I'm not doing this.
Mm-hmm. Okay, Alan, thanks. Anybody else? When do you withdraw from a seller representation? What does it take to get you there? Not as easy as buyers, right?
We're getting that thing sold. I'm giving it to you or somebody in the office, and we'll figure it out.
Right. Well, let's assume that anytime you decide to fire a client that you're going to try and get that client set up with somebody in the organization. Let's assume that that's a given. But when is it time for Brendan to step away? It's kind of the same deal, guys, in my brain, right? In my mind, the client agent relationship is more clear more quickly with a seller than it is a buyer, right? So somebody comes in and they say, I want you to sell my house. You are immediately telling them how to do it. Immediately telling them how to do it. I need you to do A, B, C, D, and E. Here's the schedule for that. Here's the vendors for that. Here's our target date to go on market. Here's when we're going to be open. Here's what all of those things look like. Right? In the cases where you have that good client agent relationship and things are really moving, that stuff, you move through that stuff pretty quickly. Right? You're scheduling things, vendors are showing up, they're paying them. Everything just moves really quickly. The pre-marketing phase of a listing goes really fast and really smooth, unless it doesn't. And if it doesn't go smooth, you got to start paying attention and you got to start having conversations. Because if they can't get through pre-marketing smoothly, what the hell do you think is going to happen when you put it on the MLS? Right? If they can't get their stuff together to get out of the house so that we can have inspections, or get out of the house so that we can have staging or media, what do you think is going to happen when it goes on MLS and somebody wants to show it, or you want to do an open, or you want to have someone else do an open? You know what's going to happen. And then you know that it's not going to go. But Damien, it's a listing and eventually it will sell. That is not necessarily true. I've heard that one for years. Well, it's a listing and it'll sell eventually. Bullshit. It will not sell eventually. If somebody won't leave the house, and don't take this wrong because my mom's got one and there's a pit bull laying on the couch growling at people, like, no, it won't sell. You'll list it for 6 months or whatever else and it won't sell. And at the end of the day, when it doesn't sell, guess who's going to be wrong? You. Okay, you. I don't take a listing unless it matches the criteria that I have in my brain, which is, look, I got to be able to sell it. All right. I can't sit here for 6 months and not sell it. I got to be able to sell it. I got to have a good feeling that at some point I'm going to be able to sell this thing, number one. And number two, I got to be able to make these people happy to keep my referral base going. Like, I cannot have pissed off clients. I can't. Okay. All of the things I just described don't meet those two criteria. It's not going to sell, and I'm not getting a referral out of it. Okay. It's not as cut and dry as it is with the buyer, but I'm telling you, you got to think about it. And again, the conversation is the same. Conversation's the same. Hey, look, Brendan, we got to stop. Okay. I know we're supposed to be on market in 2 weeks, and I know you're excited about that. But I got to tell you, I don't feel like I'm doing a good job communicating my vision and what it's going to take to sell your property. And I just don't think I'm a good fit for you. I just don't think that this is going to work out in a way that's positive. And I take responsibility for that. That's on me. It's my job, not yours. So Brendan, what I think needs to happen is I need to connect you with my friend Alan. Okay. You've been doing real estate for a long time, done a lot of listings. I think you guys are going to be a good fit. I've already briefed Alan on you. Would you mind talking to him to see if this can go a little bit better? And you can be successful. Right? Alan's like, don't call me, bro. But with sellers, at least 60% of the time, that conversation will get them to go, whoa, what? What? Whoa, what? No, hold on. Why are you mad? What's going on? And then now we can start to have a conversation. Okay, we can start to have a conversation. But and here's the other thing that I'll say to you about listings that kind of goes along with this. If it ain't ready, we're not going live. Okay. I was supposed to have a listing on the market, a great listing on the market 3 weeks ago. 3 weeks ago. Right? That was the schedule. Nope, not ready. Bump. Nope, not ready. Bump. Last week, nope, not ready. 2 more weeks, bump. Not doing it. Because if I take it out to market, not ready, I don't want to say the word, but half, you know what? I take it out to market like that. Guys, what's going to happen? Come on, I've been telling you for a month. What's going to happen if I go to market halfway? Nothing.
Well, it won't sell, obviously, but it just doesn't, it's not a good look.
Yeah, it's not a good look. It won't sell, right? Makes me look like a fool or whatever, a lie. I don't know what it makes me look like, but I spend all this time and energy and effort and money telling everybody how wonderful I am at listing properties, and I'm going to put that on the market? No. Right? I'm going to tell 10 to 20,000 people, hey, this is how Damien lists a house? No. Right? Half of it's the seller, half of it's not their fault. They've got some extenuating circumstances. Okay? I'm not anywhere close to letting them go. They're great people. I want to work with them, but it's not beyond me to say, guys, we talked about this. We agreed. This is the program. Okay? We're not doing it. We're not doing it any other way. If you don't want to do all those things then you got to let me go after everybody with price, and you're not going to like that. Okay? You're not going to like it. I'm going to go out and beat everybody else in Auburn on price. Because that's all you're giving me. They get a little upset. There's a little bit of emotion. Then they start to realize, yeah, he's right. We did agree to that stuff. We got to put the schedule back. Right? We got to put the schedule back. Maintaining standards. It's not unlike what I'm talking about maintaining the standard with the client-agent relationship. Okay? I need to let you guys know that if you don't know this, you know a hell of a lot more than you think you do. Okay? You are a hell of a lot better at your job than you think you are. You've been listening to me for a year. Okay? It's in there. Okay? You just got to own it. You've got to just regurgitate it and own it. It is in there. You do not, most of you do not give yourselves enough credit for how much you know and how good you are at this job. You don't. And I can tell you that because of the questions that I get in your phone calls, your texts, and your emails. Okay. Now, again, I don't mind. I like being part of the process. I do. I like being able to help. I like being able to give you my advice or chime in on a subject or whatever else. But you have got to realize you're nobody's doormat or door opener. You are not. Okay. You're way smarter than that. You have a way better work ethic than that. You have a way higher level of client care than average. Okay. You can go ahead and demand the agent-client relationship, and that's okay. You can go ahead and demand and expect that you're going to get paid for your efforts, and that's okay. Right? And in the rare instance where you don't feel that or get that or receive that, it's okay for you to place your client with somebody else. Okay? Because they're not really your client. They're just using you. The best agents in the world have really good radars for this, guys. Really, really good radars for this. They pick up on it early and they deal with it early. They don't end up investing a lot of time into the relationships where there is no relationship. They're just really good at picking up on it. Really good. Right? I've talked to them. I've seen them. I've always thought, man, you're pulling the trigger way too early. They're like, nope. Bad vibe, or whatever they call it, okay, ain't happening. All right. Okay. What do you think? What do you have to add? What else do you want to discuss around that relationship, or when to move somebody, or how to talk to somebody that might need to be moved, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera? Give me some feedback. No? Killing it, huh? Batting 1,000.
Probably, a regular meetings about, hey, how do you think things are going?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I think you nailed it when you said when they're fighting you every step of the way. The person we spoke about yesterday, it's like, I met with them early this year. We had a plan in place. June 1st was going to be the day. I've hooked them up with handymen, offered to do dump runs, I'll come help you pack. If that's what you need, I will do that.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like no vendor that I sent their way was good enough. It was just got to a point where it's like I can't help this person.
Mm-hmm.
And it's taken a lot of time and energy up to this point and money, not a ton, but I've even brought them showings, knowing that she's not ready, but it's like these people are willing to look past it. can we just give them a look? Maybe you don't have to go on the market. I've tried to think outside the box and like, if they can't get it done, let's bring them showings. And, it was like, even that wasn't good enough. And it's like,
Mhm.
then they're sending comps that aren't actually comps. They're just nearby.
Starting to do your job for you.
Yeah. And it's like,
Uh-huh.
you know what? We're just not, this isn't going to work.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's hard, especially in this market.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is. Look, I'll say it again. I've said it in a lot of meetings. I'm pretty sure that none of our checking balances are to the point where we're like, yeah, I can lose one. It's cool. It doesn't even matter. I can lose one. We're just not there. As an industry, we're not there, right? So it is really, really tough to make that decision uh, in with what's going on. But you bring up a really good point that I forgot. When a client on either side of the transaction starts to do your job and starts to advise you about real estate, and you know what I'm talking about, okay, there could be a problem. Okay. When they're starting to tell you about the market and when they're starting to tell you about how things are going and they're starting to tell you what things are worth, there could be a problem. Okay. Pretty clear indicator. Oh, yeah? Okay. Tell me more. Yeah. And you've been doing this for how long? Okay, got it. Yeah, yeah. What else?
No, on that last bit, Damien, kind of funny. I play it a little differently, as long as the person that's telling you your business isn't being disrespectful about it.
Yeah,
They just know they just know it better than you. That's just because that's who they are.
right.
I always go with it. Man, when you go with it, it's a lot more successful. Because
Yeah,
they guide you now. Not you
yeah,
guide them. I love to be guided because now I know what they're thinking. I'm just saying, man. That's
yeah.
how I do it.
I like that. I like that, buddy. I love it. I don't know that I have it in my personality, but I love it.
I
Yeah,
did that. I did that with my developing. Well, all the homes I built. Heck
yeah,
no. Run my show. Tell
yeah,
me how you need it done.
yeah,
Give me the money.
yeah.
That's all.
Give me the money. Give me the money. Yeah.
Yeah.
What else? Okay. Well, if you got nothing else, then I'll let you go. Uh, I'll say this again just because I keep saying it. Really make an effort, guys. Really make an effort. Let's see if you can't just add 3 people to your sphere every day. Just 3. Somehow, some way, find a way to be communicating with 3 more people than you did yesterday electronically. I'm not talking about Buffini them, okay? You don't have to call them and, do the every other call 3, 3, 2, 4, whatever it is. That's not what I'm talking about. What I'm talking about is just expanding that net. Get more people into your system, receiving electronic communications and on your follow-up schedule because you're doing that. Just see if you can get 3 a day. That's it. Okay? It's a hell of a lot harder than it sounds. But if you can do that day after day after day, I mean, think about that. Let's say you're successful at 7 a week, 1 a day, 7 a week on average. Somebody give me 7 times 52. Somebody, anybody, 7 times 52. 364. Guys, at the end of the year, that's 364 names in your book that wouldn't have been there otherwise. 364 names, right? Basic SOI math, it's 3 transactions. That's it, right? 3 names. Keep working on it. Keep swinging. Really, really good things are around the corner. I do believe that. I do believe that we're at the beginning of something good. I do believe that the pain, not a run, Okay, Alan, I see you looking at me. I'm not talking about a boom. I'm just talking about a regular market. Okay, a regular market. So keep swinging, keep standing.
We're gonna have a little spit, okay? You know
A
what I
little
mean by that. And just a little spit of something's gonna happen before it slows down again.
Sure.
Yeah, that's what I see.
Yep, yep. So keep swinging, keep at it, keep growing the book, make hay. Yeah? All right. Anybody else got anything? I'm going to click the button in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. See y'all later.